Okay, over here, Val. Here we go. Horses in Fiction with author J.A. Stein. Today's book, I'm sticking with the famous ones because I'm having way too much fun with this. Outlander. Okay, so one of my favorites. Diana Gabaldon's amazing. I don't say her last name right. I'm sorry, forgive me. But anyway, really good horse scenes in a bunch of her books. I definitely think she's actually a rider, or at least was at some point in her life, because she just gets it. And you're gonna see it in this scene. And I mean, the horses aren't really the focus of her books, but because she's kind of, I guess you could call her a historical fiction writer, even though her stuff is a little more complicated to put into a genre than that. But because she's historical, there's a lot of horses in them, and kind of like how I write, like the horses are part of it, but yet not the focus. So I'll get right into it. Still trying to talk less, keep these videos a little shorter so they don't take a week to download. Maybe you can get more of them. And there is a page turn in here, so I will try not to make you seasick like the last video. That one was a mess. But anyway, here we go. Well, what chapter are we on? We are just after she went through the stones. Chapter 3. She just met Jamie, just patched up his shoulder. I think he's got a gunshot wound too. I don't know what it is with gunshot wounds and then going and getting on horses and riding off. Seems a little rough to me, but hey, that's what all of us authors, I think, are guilty of that. Of course, I don't have gunshots in my era, in the medieval era, but we have a lot of sword fights and sword wounds, and they still get on their horse and ride off. I guess it's better than walking on your own feet. But anyway, we're in chapter 3, and here we go. Jamie, get yourself up, he called. The lass will ride with you. He squeezed my elbow. You can hold the reins if Jamie can manage one-handed, but do you take care to keep close with the rest of us. Should you be trying anything else, I shall cut your throat. Do you understand me? I nodded, throat too dry to answer. His voice was not particularly threatening, but I believed every word. I was the less tempted to try anything in that I had no idea what to try. I didn't know where I was, who my companions were, why we were leaving with such urgency, or where we were going, but I lacked any reasonable alternatives to going with them. I was worried about Frank, who must long since have started looking for me, but this didn't seem the time to mention him. Dougal must have sensed my nod, for he let go of my arm and stooped suddenly beside me. I stood stupidly staring down at him until he hissed, "Your foot, lassie." Hold on. "Give me your foot. Your left foot," he added disgustedly. I hastily took my misplaced right foot out of his hand and stepped up with my left. With a slight grunt, he boosted me into the saddle in front of Jamie, who gathered me in closely with his good arm. In spite of the general awkwardness of my situation, I was grateful for the young Scot's warmth. He smelt strongly of wood smoke, blood, and unwashed mail, but the night chill bit through my thin dress, and I was happy enough to lean back against him. With no more than a faint chinking of bridles, we moved off into the starlit night. There was no conversation among the men, only a general, weary watchfulness. The horses broke into a trot as soon as we reached the road, and I was jostled too uncomfortably to want to talk myself, even assuming that anyone was willing to listen. My companion seemed to be having little trouble, in spite of being unable to use his right hand. I could feel his thighs behind mine, shifting and pressing occasionally to guide the horse. I clutched the edge of the short saddle in order to stay seated. I had been on horses before, but was by no means the horseman that this Jamie was. Okay, so it's a short section, not anything super dramatic, but there's some really fun horsey things in here that I want to point out and we can talk about. So first of all, she's getting on the horse, and I see this with my like new students all the time, but like if you don't know that you get on the left side of the horse, and in order to swing your right leg over the saddle, you have to step up with your left foot. And it's always kind of cute when I have like, I was gonna say the kids, but it's the kids and the adults. They kind of do this little tap dance on the mounting block and try to decide which foot to put in the stirrup in order to swing themselves over. It is your left foot if you're getting on the left side. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting on your horse riding backwards. Funny side note, my little boy has a little plastic horse, and he sometimes gets on it backwards. We're learning how to swing our leg over so that one day when he has a pony, he'll figure it out. But anyway, totally a beginner mistake. I really like that she included that in this, because it just, oh my gosh, it's such horsemanship 101. The other thing is her and Jamie are riding double. And I see this all the time in fiction. And I get it, because it's like, especially in romance novels, there's all kinds of romantic things you can think about when you're like sitting double and pressed all close to your significant other and whatnot. But I will tell you, riding double in a saddle, it's not very comfortable. I mean, riding double bareback, totally different story, especially if you have a horse with a big enough back. Then it's not a big deal. But I always think like, oh my gosh, these people are squashed in these saddles. And I guess it depends on how deep the saddle is, or if it's like completely flat and just rounded out over the horse's back. But even so, I mean, usually you're not in a saddle that you're like swimming in, because the whole point of the saddle is to help you find your balance and keep still. But it makes for some plenty of creative content as far as the romance line goes. She worked in the detail too. Remember we were talking in the other video about the whole squeezing with the thighs? Jamie's actually using his thighs correctly. He squeezes his thighs in order to like cue the horse to go side to side and steer and all the things you're supposed to use your legs to cue for, not to stop. So she got that right. The other thing is they're riding at night, and I feel like we see this in fiction and movies so often that we don't even give it a second thought. There is training involved to teach your horse to ride at night. Now, in theory, horses see better in the dark than we do. So if you've got any light, moon, stars, whatever, they're gonna catch onto it and go, and it's not a big deal to them. That's why you see a lot of farms, they actually turn out at night, especially in the summer, to avoid the bugs and stuff, because horses are pretty good at seeing at night. Now, there are exceptions. I had a horse in my barn here that's actually night blind, in that, like, he has a genetic thing that he cannot see when there is no light. He's completely blind, and he has learned to cope as he is aged, but he like kind of has to know where he is at. He would not be a good one to take on a midnight trail ride. But anyway, I just feel like we think of that as so commonplace in fiction that we forget how much work it takes to kind of just get the horse desensitized to all the things that go bump in the night when you're out riding in the dark. Because it is a little different. So if you got a horse that is kind of used to that, like a lot of the endurance riders are out there riding in the dark all the time, because there's endurance rides that go into the dark, and then they ride by glow sticks. Just like the trail markers are glow sticks, and they wear their headlamps, and I don't know, I'm getting on my tangent, but it totally is possible, but I think we have to appreciate that the horses back in the old days that were like doing this 24/7, like work horses, like there's some work in there. There's some good quality horsemanship and horse flesh involved. So kind of like how she's used this scene with the horse, get her, Claire and Jamie, kind of close together. Kind of sets the scene for what comes through the rest of the novel. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this. Keep reading, guys. All right, bye.